as you can see, I've got 4 tubes of decorator's caulk, acrylic caulk. Starting with the cheapest, the no nonsense, about £1, dry, paintable within 1 or 2 hours, depending on heat and humidity. So then we've got the mighty decorator's caulk, Nemesis, roughly around £3, instantly paintable. And then up here, for around £5, the Dial, flexible sealant. So again, this one paintable in, I'd say, 48 hours. And the reason why I say that is because around 2mm bead, 24 hours. So 4mm bead, you're looking at 48 hours, again, depending on heat and humidity. Generally, they do recommend 5mm bead, 6mm for the no nonsense. So the Unibond, this is indoor sealant, floors and other surfaces, so typically skirting boards and architraves. Around £8 a tube, and again 48 hours per 5mm bead, so that's 5mm diameter. So I want to have a quick look at initial flexibility on these. Simple flex test. Roughly 3 weeks ago I put caulk onto paper. I've already took a piece off there. That's that one there. So the reason why I did 2 here was because I thought that this one was a bit too thick. Roughly, you're looking at 5mm bead, so that was a little bit better. Okay. So then, going through in order, the broken one, surprisingly, isn't what you think. Well, I guess if it's in order, then it's obvious. So we've got the cheaper one, the no nonsense, then middle of the road, instantly paintable, the Nemesis Mighty Decorator's Caulk, the Dial, and this is the Unibond. So like I say, about 3 weeks ago I put these onto paper. Unfortunately, when removing, this happened. The Nemesis couldn't withstand being took off the paper. So somewhere, if I can find it, is the block of wood which I used last time, and all I've done in this case is joined it together using the Nemesis. So that I'll be using shortly. But first of all, a simple flex test. Now again, I can't use the Nemesis, so I'll just skip this one for that, and this is the, get it on there. I'm going to have to sit there. So that's the no nonsense. We'll go for the Dial. And then we'll go for the Unibond. So we're just got a bit lower down. So just looking at them now, you can see which is obviously the most flexible, but it takes a long time to dry. So, application. When it comes to trimming the end off the nozzle, 45-degree angle. And if you're doing large gaps, then you may be tempted to cut quite a large end to it. If you have cut it too big and you do find that's too much, don't panic. If you've saved this end, then simply cut. Again, 45-degree angle, smaller hole, unscrew it, pop it inside, draw it through, and hey presto, you can get on and carry on caulking. Sometimes you don't need to overcut it. So there, it's elliptical, so I've got a thickness of bead that way, and if I turn, then I've got a thickness of bead that way. So I either run my gun that way or that way. Okay, and then when applying this, first of all, watch the cork. When it gets to the end, you're alright, you know, no gap. With the cork all the way to the end, and that angle, see the cork just on my finger there, so working it flat into the joint. Trigger steady and with an even stroke, because what we're wanting to do is get the flow of cork even coming out the end. So you can have too much going too slow, and if you run it too quick you start to stretch that cork and it's not adhering properly. So it starts to come out the end, start that, okay, so not too quick, because you start to apply a thinner bead and you're not going to get it adhering the same. And then when you come to the end, you're applying slow and stop and release. I've set up two gaps. First one 5mm right the way through, 20mm deep. The second one is 10mm here, running up to about 12-14mm here, again 20mm deep. Like I say, generally with your cork you should be running a 5mm bead, 5mm diameter. So when coming to caulking stuff like this, what we're relying on is these gaps to be maximum 2mm, 3mm. Getting up to 5mm is starting to get extreme, so 10mm here is very silly. So first of all, applying the cork. So whether it's top edge of the skirting board here, and this is the wall, so literally you've got just the gap from the skirting to the wall to fill, then depth can be a problem. So to help prevent any shrinkage, then the nozzle facing either into the wall first or into the skirting board first, because again this is a large gap. So I want to fill half of this, I want to backfill and then fill right over and fill all this in one. This I'm going to put a little bit of each in each one. So again, first of all, turn that. Now, going to be awkward, so again, just a pre-fill. what you would call backfilling. So then with these, starting with the cheapest, working through, in with the no nonsense. Again, I'm going on to that back edge first. I'm just going to fill these generally as you would. Want to get them filled in one, don't you? Quick smooth off. And repeat that down. In with the Nemesis, again trying to direct it onto one side, back onto the other. Next one, DL, where's the window frame sealant, interior and exterior. Yeah, can be painted, but again, everyone would always use a water-based paint. So into one edge, and you can come back along the other, a little bit on the top. How you fill it is up to you. Just as long as you get a bond. Finally, the Unibond, wood floors, surfaces. So again, we're looking at skirting boards, baseboards, stairs, door frames. So this does say 48 hours per 5mm bead diameter. So what we'll do, because also it does say skins in 30 minutes. So there. 48 hours fully dry, but again depends on conditions. So because it says 30 minutes skinning over time, then what I will do with this is I will leave it for 30 minutes, because as we all know, when you're painting you want to find the quickest method, the best way you can do something. So 4 different types of cork, all with their own flexing properties. Leave them 30 minutes. So this has been in not long. See, find a cleanish finger and just see. So at the minute now, that's skinned. So if you're wanting to prevent sagging, then what you need to be doing is a little bit of backfilling first. Again, I've only left this a few minutes. If you was on the job and you're doing a lot, and there's going to be a great deal to do. So you can go around and do other bits and pieces, leave this to dry longer, and then come back and caulk it over the top. Just get my damp cloth. So when doing something like this, always water and a neutral detergent. So typically Fairy Liquid is a good one. I always have it there. I'll finish that in a second, I'll just neaten it up. But now I just want to fill this up completely. Just one go. I'll probably will have to come back to it. So I'll leave that now for about 30 minutes. If after doing something like that and you have widened it, this is used now. Again with that end, just pop it inside, use a screwdriver and just push that in. Get a bit of caulk coming out, but just push that in. And it's there, ready to use. Block of wood. I've not fixed it down yet. Again, this has got the Nemesis Mighty Decorators Caulk in there. No Nonsense Caulk, Nemesis, Dial, Unibond. Here I've got a bag of sugar, 1 kilo. I've just put a zip tie around it. Okay. So, taking the no nonsense, I want to try and pick that up. So, first attempt, I'm going to try and just make a U out of it and lift. So I want to bring two ends together and then see what happens and how long we've got. So that's not too bad. I'm going to go till it snaps. Actually get a better grip. Right, leave that for a minute. So that was the no nonsense. Well, that's about the best piece I can use. So underneath I'll try and do the same. Small piece of the Nemesis, and again I'll just try and fold that round. That's it. That's as much as you get. Okay, so then I'll move up. Now this is the DL, so this was a slightly more flexible one. So around a £5 a cartridge, this one. Not too bad at all. Okay, so again, expected where it went. Oh, just there. A little piece here left. So quite elastic, but when it's stretched near the point of fixing, again that one's broke. Finally, it's the Unibond. So out of the lot, this really does look the most flexible. Okay. So, not too bad there, that's lifting it. I can feel it stretching a little bit there. Just that little bit. So again, I'll bounce it. And I guarantee it'll have gone near where the fixing is again, near where it would be secured. Overall it's stretching, but where it's fixed it won't be stretching the same. So yeah, just under my thumb there. A little piece. So yeah, it's okay. I mean, it took the kilo, and under that stretch there it's probably taken a little bit more, but that's where it failed, just on that point. So I want to test this now. I know now this spring is pushing initially 14.5 kilos. So then as it's opening it's gonna weaken. But yeah, first initial push 14.5 kilo. So overall the spring then is pushing down to about 4 kilo at the end. So I'll get this under tension. I'll get this screwed down and we'll have a go. 14.5 kilo, roughly £32. No pressure yet on the wood. I'll just slacken off this nut here. Also see how much it moves as well. Starting to crack just along that back edge. So we'll just get you in a little bit here. Just on that back edge there. Actually a little bit to peer in just here. Had to focus. So yeah, there. And here. So that's not even shocking it yet. So give it a bit of a shock. In fact, I don't need to shock it. I just turn the camera off and turn around to get the hammer, and it started widening. So let's just see how much it goes on its own. I thought I'd put the camera on to time lapse, but before I just turned back it opened up. So I'll just straighten this out. You can see a fair bit of pressure in that spring yet, but obviously that's not going to stand much. So I'm going to clean this up, because obviously when you're caulking you want to get the most out of it, and speed as well. So clean this up. Put the screw in to hold these blocks together, and a piece of cork that I took out before. It's roughly the same width. Piece of tape I want to put on the back just to contain what I'm going to do next, which I'm sure you've guessed by now is foam. So just a little bit of tape on there. A spot of foam. Just a small amount of water. And just brush a little bit in there. A little bit in there. So I'm only going to put 2 spots in. So I'll leave these now for about half an hour. Dulux diamond eggshell. Now I can just put some on here. So these have been left now for a little bit more than half an hour. Again, if you wanted to get this painted quickly, then you could, and I will show that in a minute or two. But now this has gone off. It's not leaving anything in the glove. These have started to go off. This is skinned over, but it's still a little bit. If you was to rub at it too much, you'd break the skin on it. So again, I just want to paint up. So really, I'm just looking for what's going to work up on me. Give a little bit of force on that. Okay, onto here. So this end slightly pre-filled and this just filled straight in. Now really, if you were to pre-fill, you'd probably, like I say, leave it longer. Come over the top. Just gives it a little bit more strength, a bit more background. So I'm going to be fairly forceful. Again, it's sinking back. So it's sunk back quite a bit there. So just leave them a minute or two. And what I wanted is the paint to just go off. While that paint's drying, down here, exactly the same paint. So there's two lots of Caulk you can see here. Both Nemesis, the Mighty Decorator's Caulk. This was a thicker bead and this was spread out thinly. The paint, this is that Dulux eggshell. So when I was doing the video with this, like I say about 4 months ago, I mulled around with it there. So that's why it's looking a little bit white. Took the paint off, it was still wet. But overall, it's quite tough. So you can't really see what the Caulk is there. To just get this off. Like I say, this has been about 4 months, this. So there now, if I just cut that there, I have another piece to test. That's been drying for 4 months, a little bit thinner, but we'll see what this does. So yeah, as far as toughness of paint goes, sitting on it, it's quite good. I mean, obviously I'm scraping at it there, but one coat of paint over that, that's alright. Again, that's where the Caulk is. That's bonded quite well to that surface. So that's it with this stuff. It does want to stick, but then the body itself is not. Fairly tough. So I'm going to test this. Nearly dry, not far off, a little bit soft. I'll leave that a bit longer. So this, I've got the kilo bag of sugar again. Just loop this underneath. Now again, 3 weeks. This has been just over a month. So it's breaking now at that same point, right on the end. But overall, quite weak. Now this, the no nonsense for £1. I'm going to test this a little bit more. I've already stressed this bit using that kilo bag of sugar. So this is weighing in at 2.5 kilos. A broken brick. So, same again. I'm not wanting to break it at that point. I'm gently just folding it so I can get both of those ends. So now I've got them, I can just start to pick it up. So again, it'll have gone at the same point. So you were fixed to your skirting board where it's joining, where it's least amount of stretching flexibility, it'll break on that end, so creating cracks. But that was good, that 2.5 kilos. Again, it's quite strong, it's starting to fail there, so I'm not going to mess around with it anymore. But pretty good stuff, that. Generally it's all down to movement. So this, there's a fair bit of strength and elasticity, but it's how well it's going to bond to that surface. We'll have to test the other two as well. So on with the DL, 2.5 kilos, see if it'll just go for the straight lift first without bouncing it around. So that couldn't take the lift. I have been stressing them a little bit, but I did exactly the same with a no nonsense. So again, now this is the Unibond, just a deadlift. Same point again. So I'll leave this another 10-15 minutes and then we'll get some cork in this. So far this no nonsense looks to be the best. So like I say, roughly around £1 a tube, anywhere from like 99p up to £1.30, something like that. Overall not too bad. If we just take a look at the colour. So again, this has been drying for 3 weeks now, and see the difference. Getting there. See the difference in the white. So that's looking quite grey compared. So you would be overpainting, and again using a good flexible water-based paint. This is dry. So now I can get it trimmed up, get it corked, and then get it fixed down. So I'll just, back of the blade there, just pop that down a little bit. I'll use the Nemesis, because the idea is about getting the job done quick, isn't it? So if there's any gaps, I'm making sure I get some down there. So what I'll do is get this wound in and get that screwed down. I'll take the tape off now. That there. It's lined up, fastened down. No pressure on the block yet. Springs wound up. Obviously fastened down and loose this side. So this is still wet. quite soft yet. So we have 14.5 kilo. So only used 2 points to fix this with the foam. So this foam has only been left for about an hour. There was 2 points. So it's moved, but it's not not cracking out. This is still soft. There's no body to it. So if we just take a closer look. It's pushed it out. It's moved it slightly. But it's holding it. So I would say that if you're wanting to paint this quick, then if you was having any trouble with any little bits of movement on boards and things like that, touch of foam would give it a bit more strength. So this isn't fixed at all apart from the foam. If it was skirting board, it's going to be nailed or screwed. So it's just vibration and little bits of movement that make the cork crack out. So, that's okay. Obviously I think if everything was left to cure fully, there wouldn't have been too much of a problem. This is, like I say, it's not fixed. So yeah, that's okay. Definitely the cheapest. If it's going to work for this wet, then with any one that you choose, if you have any problems with movement, foamed, and yeah, you'll be good with that. So I just want to see what that painted cork is like now. Before I move this, just want to mark it. I'll leave it like this. Just see what happens. Come back to that some other time. I'm sure I will be doing something else, but I get that paint work out. A couple of hours on now, I've left this to dry. This is the Nemesis, and the bit where I did some backfilling, some pre-filling, you can see not too bad. A little bit sunk there on the left running down, but again did only leave it about 30 minutes. And then down here, which I just filled straight away, so quite a bit of a sink in that. And then this would be the no nonsense at this end. So again, 30 minutes, not really long enough. It has sunk. It's going to be a bit soft. This will be where the Nemesis is. So again, you can see it's obviously sunk. I was forcing this quite a bit. So a little bit tougher than the other, but I am expecting it to be soft. This is paintable immediately, but leave it to go hard, definitely. So then up here, got the DL. So this, I should imagine, will be quite soft. 48 hours. It will start to skin, but be very soft under. So yeah, straight away it's marking it quite easy there. And then to the Unibond, which again is another 48-hour one. Quite soft, skinned over. Paint film has dried. It's not crazed. None of them have crazed. So yeah, not too bad at all. And the no nonsense that went down before when I started, that's reasonable. Obviously that's going to be very soft. That was a big lump. Sometimes that's the problem when caulking, using too much of it. So around 5mm diameter bead, and remember, backfill, and for strength, if you need to, use a bit of foam, spot of foam. That surprised me. Good stuff. It does go grey. Expect to paint it water-based paint.